What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video I have my full memorabilia haul from Airliners International 2025 in Atlanta. So in this particular memorabilia haul, I don't have as much as I did last year in Kansas City. I mainly tried to restrict myself on the various memorabilia items that I bought just because, for one, I got quite a few models, and two, since obviously I was flying, and I didn't have much space in my backpack or my carry-on luggage to get stuff, brought back with me home. I was kind of limited. I kind of limited myself as to how much memorabilia I bought, but nevertheless, I still walked out of that convention with some pretty cool stuff. Plus, some other items throughout the rest of the Airliners Expedition trip, which, as you've seen on the channel, content has been coming out at a very smooth pace. So thank you, everybody, for tuning into those videos, and if you haven't seen any particular videos, you can go check out the playlist that I have. The link to that is in the description. You can also check the playlist page on my YouTube page. So I'm going to get started with sort of the centerpiece of this haul, which is the booty bag for this year's Airliners convention, and you'll note that it is way different from the standard bags that we have gotten accustomed to with these shows. They went with a much smaller form factor, but it is a lot nicer. So you've got the Airliners International logo printed out there, and then on this side you've got a little pocket. You just open this up and you can put smaller items in and all that. And then of course there was always a bunch of items in these booty bags, which they are kind of scattered in my pile, so we'll go through those as they come up. And on this side you've got the Gemini Jets logo because they still remain as a big sponsor for the convention, which is great. So always love to see their representation on the booty bags. There's some decent space on the inside, but it does fill up quickly, especially if you're predominantly looking for airplane models. So just something to note there with this particular booty bag. We'll have to see what the next ones look like because it will certainly be interesting. Alright, so I don't really have any particular order that we're going to go in. It's just going to be whatever I grab off the pile here. And some of these are just going to be random odds and ends that you probably wouldn't expect to be featured here, but this is just because it's all within my my stack of memorabilia that I have. We'll go through them anyway. So the first item that I pulled, this is the Banquet Dinner program, which got folded and creased quite a bit in my bag, but this is the Banquet Dinner program. There's the poster for the keynote speaker, David H. Stringer, nobody's second class on Southern. A look back at Southern Airways. And then there's the program. You have the welcome, the introduction, the Master of Ceremonies, and then Chris Slimmer, Grace and Remembrances, the trivia contest, buffet dinner, name the plane contest. That one specifically, I got third place in, so that was pretty cool. Here's a clip of me getting that third place recognition.
JJ! Yeah! Wow, nice.
Number 2.
So yeah, very cool moment there at the Banquet Dinner, and as part of that, I did get a couple shirts, which I don't have in this video since they are going to be put through a round of laundry. But I did get a Delta shirt, which I'm actually wearing right now, a Trans-Caribbean shirt as well, that I remember getting as well, very nice. And then as part of a door prize raffle they had, I ended up getting a book, which I do have in this pile, and I'll get to that in a bit. And then the rest of that, you have the Paul Collins Award presentation, and then the announcement of the model, postcard, and photo contest winners, which they didn't actually announce at the Banquet Dinner since they were still going through that. And then eventually the special guest speaker, and then the winners of the trivia name the plane contest announced, and closing remarks to close that out. We finished at about, I think it was 10 o'clock Saturday night, if I remember right. So we made pretty good time through that whole presentation, which, it was excellent. David H. Stringer did a really great job at presenting the history of Southern Airways. I'm trying to make sure my leg on this chair doesn't hit the tripod leg, because then otherwise it knocks it off balance. So I'm trying to do that as I move the chair back and forth. But now let's get to the actual memorabilia items. First one that I have is this Republic Airlines. God, I'm trying to remember what this is. I think this is it's like a bag tag sleeve or something. It's some type of sleeve, but of course it has the Republic branding, so I had to take it. So there's that item. And then in the booty bag, you've got the little jet tip key tag which has the Airliners 2025 Atlanta branding on it. So I've got 4 of these now for each of the ones I've attended. Chicago, Dallas, Kansas City, and ATL. And then here we have some postcards. These are included in the booty bag. I believe these are new ones, so they try to get some new ones every year. So we've got this nice Piedmont 737-200. There's a Southern DC-9, very fitting. Delta DC-9 right in front of the old Atlanta terminal. There's a United DC-8. I believe these are all Atlanta shots, actually. Eastern A300 with the white top livery. Republic Convair 580, that's right up my wheelhouse. American 727-200, and a America West A320 with the Renaissance Hotel there in the background. Very nice shot. And I believe it does have some information on the back, which it does. It just lists some basic information. Views from the 70s to the 2000s, so that is the collection of postcards that was included with the booty bag. I've not looked through some of these items, so some of these will be first timers for me, but other items I have looked through. Just really depended on what I had time to look through, because we were so busy doing a whole bunch of other things around the convention. It's just like you don't really get time to settle down for a bit and just go through your stuff that you got at the show. The only time that we really got that was at night, and by that point, you know, we're just ready to throw in the towel and just go to bed. That's kind of the mojo that we had for the convention. It's like, you know, the second we get back to our room, we were just spent a little bit of time hanging out, socializing, and then it's off to bed. You know, not a bad flow by any means. I certainly like that ebb and flow, just because, you know, the hotel room, mainly it's for just sleeping and just catching your breath for a few minutes in between events during a given day. It's always nice to just kind of have that ebb and flow. So there's all the postcards. Took me a minute to get it back in the bag. And then I have some other general items just from the trip. Now, if you know a gentleman named Lucas who's been going to the convention, this is his second time going, he was handing out these Delta trading cards. So I got a couple of them off of him. Thank you, Lucas. So I've got the 767, this very nice, like, hologramic effect on it that shows up really well on camera. This is specifically the 764 Delta trading card. So now I've got trading cards from United, Delta, and Frontier. So when we were on, when Connor Anderson and I, we took the Frontier Georgia the Painted Bunting from Baltimore to Charlotte. They actually stopped with one of the flight attendants as we were getting off the plane, and they got a whole bunch of trading cards, which I didn't get to see until they got off the plane, because I'd gotten off the plane and I didn't even realize that they had stopped to do that. So Connor gave me a bunch of the trading cards, which I thought was really nice. So I've got Hudson, the Bog Turtle here, and I had a bunch of them, but I think they're kind of, there must be mumble jumboed in all my stuff, so we'll see if they surface here. This is another item in the booty bag, a little Continental Airlines meatball patch. Very nice. And just putting the stuff off to the side here just so I know what stuff I've gone through and what stuff I haven't yet. And then this is a little thing that I took from Brad Myers' table, custom diorama panels. I do need to reach out to him about getting an FST one done, since he doesn't have one, but I know that he does take requests, so I'll certainly reach out to him when I get the chance. Flight operations guide, as always, for the convention. We'll take some time to go through this. Web shop for aviation postcards, and then a little welcome, which I've not looked through this flight operations guide. Normally I would have done that during the show, but I didn't. Flight plan on this page, and then special recognition over here. And there's Connor's name. They got his last name spelled correctly, which is great. And then there's all the volunteers, contest coordinators, and everybody else. So awesome to see the recognition that Connor has gotten at this show, because he has done a lot for something that he is very passionate about. And here is the vendor table layout. So this is in the main hangar. And we've got the diagram for ATL, which is always nice. I flew out of the E-gates, which I don't know, just based on this layout. I think I'm on ramp, right between ramp 4 right there. So I think that's where the E-gates are at based on that map. There's a list of tours, very extravagant. The seminar list, the largest that they've had in the history of this convention. World Airline Historical Society advertisement. There's the keynote poster for the banquet. And then Chris Slimmer's business card, always looking for cool stuff. Jet Tip advertisement, Brand of Boutique. And then the Gemini Jets advertisement now on the back cover for this year's Flight Operations Guide. Alright, so going back down into my pile here, I've got some more of the Delta trading cards, which got mumble-jumbled there in the pile. So I've got the A350 trading card, very nice. And then this very cool A330 trading card, and you can see as I tilt the card, it shows one of the Delta, like a Delta logo there. I don't know exactly what these types of trading cards are called, but it is very, very cool. And then the last one that I have was the 757 one. This is the 300 variant. And of course, with the Frontier trading cards, I had to get Wiley the Bison, because that's the one that I flew from Sioux Falls to Denver. I've asked Aero Classics to make this, and hopefully that comes to fruition at some point. Another postcard that I got at the show, this Northwest Airlines Saab 340 parked at, I believe, it's actually Memphis. So back when Northwest had that big Memphis hub, which they got from Republic, this picture was taken in 1998. So I think that was right around the peak of at least the Northwest era for that hub. They dismantled that in the late 2000s or so, or at least when Delta, when they merged with Northwest, they took care of the rest of that hub. This is in the booty bag, this Ethiopian brochure or something. I don't know much about this, but this is just in there just because. Yeah, I think this is just like a general, you know, like courtesy thing. Let us know your preference. So yeah, there's like stickers in there, so you can put them on your seat or something if you don't want to be disturbed, or if you want to be woken up for service. So that's pretty nice. That's a very unique item. I definitely like those little odds and ends that they have. Okay, next batch of items that I just grabbed. So I've got this Delta System route map, which I was actually planning to upload a separate memorabilia video because I was going through some of my family's old stuff, and surprisingly they had some memorabilia items, but I never uploaded that video. I never got around to doing that, so I'll have to dig through and see if I've got that still, and I'll upload that probably at a later date. But they had a United Air Atlas, which I didn't know they made those things. It's essentially just an enlarged route map, and what I have here from Delta Airlines is exactly that. So as I try to unfold this and fail at it spectacularly, because that's what I typically do with this stuff, it's just a giant route map. So there's FSD, of course, our services to Bismarck and Rapid City highlighted, and then continuation to Salt Lake City, which they had made a hub after they acquired Western. As I fold it up, they do have some advertising stuff in here, very fascinating, and even more here on this end. Some information about the airline, and there's the fleet at the time. This was made in fall of 1988 when their slogan was, "We love to fly, and it shows." They've got a nice commercial from, I think like 85, I think it's dated, that I've seen on YouTube many times. Very great commercial. And there's the Discover card. So this, I believe, was back when they first created it, and that was actually a creation of Sears. But obviously, since Sears doesn't really exist anymore, that is now, I think, I'm trying to think who owns them now. I don't know. I don't really know who owns them at this point. But anyway, this little random item here, Barkley Regional Airport. Not sure what that was, but that was just a free item. It's just like, you can take it. This is from the Airliners Expedition, the visitor map for the Sullenberger Aviation Museum. There should be a video on that coming at some point later in the trip. I don't know when exactly, but it's just a big map of the inside of the museum for both the historic hangar and the main gallery. So I will have a video on both of those, of course, in one video. Anderson and I going to that museum on the second day of our stay in Charlotte. That was really fun to check out. And then from our contour turn that we did the previous day, on that first day, we got one of these safety cards off the aircraft, a Contour Ember 140 safety card. Got a bit beaten up because of the backpack and all that, so, you know, it's to be expected. But these safety cards, I did see a couple of them on the plane that were in pretty rough shape, which is not ideal, but it happens. Those safety cards probably get beaten to hell in a lot of different ways, from, you know, people trying to remove them and they're not really doing it right. I need a better spot for this, so I'll have to put it off to the side there. Let's go ahead and continue. Starting to get towards the end of the pile here, at least the pile that I know that I have. There's probably like a million other items that I haven't come across yet, because that's just what happens. As I've said, I've got a couple shirts which are going through the laundry right now, so I can't show those, but it's from the Atlanta Air Exchange, and then a $1 shirt that I got from that other hangar, the DC-3. There's the Airliners International sticker for Atlanta, which I do need to apply to my camera bag. It's always tradition for me to do that, but unfortunately I ran out of space on the front, so it will have to go on the back. So just like that, kind of on the right side there, but that's fine. So there we go. Nice sticker there. And then I also got one for the 2019 show, which I'm probably just going to keep as is because I don't want to really fight with it that much. They had some free magazines that they were handing out, so I took one from the Airways magazine because it had the Iceland Air 80 Years 757 on it. The heck? Okay, I guess a quarter was apparently inside that magazine, so yeah, this is like a new quarter design, which I haven't really seen much of. Get that into focus there. I think they introduced this a couple years ago, but yeah, I haven't really seen much of that new quarter design. It's very fascinating that they did change it. I know they're getting rid of the penny now, since there's a lot of complications with that, and certainly a topic that I'm not qualified to discuss on. Now move into some of the other fun items. Dreamliner fan, he was giving out some Hawaiian Airlines magazines, so I got a couple of them off of him. So I've got at least the most recent issue at the time, June, July. I actually have 2 copies, so I'll probably give one to a friend at some point whenever we meet again. And then the April, May issue in there as well. Certainly be good reads at a later date. And then this is the book that I won as part of that door prize raffle. Boeing Airliners in Washington State, 2024. So just a compilation of photos of Boeing aircraft in the Seattle area mainly, and from like Moses Lake and whatnot. So it's a really nice book. I did read a little bit of it on my Frontier flights on the way home. Great reads for sure. And now we get to the fun stuff. The very fun stuff. Ugh, gosh. So that is the haul of all the timetables and other brochures that I got at the convention. Probably, yeah, that's the most I've gotten. I think I counted like 25 plus timetables. So yeah, I will do a timetable video. I don't know when that's going to come out. I want to get through all the other videos first before I get to that, because these timetable videos are they do take quite a bit of time to make just because I'm doing a lot of talking. But rest assured, I'll get to that as soon as possible. But I'll just go over everything briefly. Here's this Delta story brochure. Just a little history on Delta Airlines up to, I think this is probably from, there's a date on this thing. Yeah, I think it's from 1982 based on the little date there. And then here's one on the 767 when they first got that. And on the inside, they actually have November 101 Delta Alpha instead of 102, which is the spirit of Delta, of course, inside the Delta Flight Museum. Now this is from Slimmerville. Of course, I had to take this because it has Sioux Falls on it. So this is a little brochure on it on FSD, which I have seen pictures of on the internet before, but I've never seen a physical copy of one. So I'm surprised that he had this in there. So of course I had to take it. And here's all the photos that I'll show. Here's the terminal from the outside. And then there is, I don't know what this is, looks like a ballroom or something. There's the fire station, and I think that's another angle. And you can see it looks like a North Central Convair 580 at gate 4, I want to say. Gate 2 or 4, it's one of the two because they had both of those gates back then. And then there's a photo of the air traffic control tower, Ozark ticket counter. There's one of their DC-9s, I think that's at gate 5. There's a photo of what looks to be probably like a mail sorting room or something, or luggage stuff. Yeah, I think it's more luggage. There's a Western 727 landing. There's the inside of the air traffic control tower. We used to have escalators that went straight up to the gates, but obviously that's been replaced with a more proper TSA checkpoint. There are still escalators, but it's just before the secure area. Overview of the general aviation ramp at the time. There's the fighter jets that the 114th Fighter Wing had. I think those are Douglas A4s, I want to say. I don't think that's right. They're like Sky Raiders or something. And that looks to be a... What is that? It's like travel insurance. It's just one of the desks that they had in the front of the terminal. Tales of some North Central aircraft. I think they had 3. Is that 3 Convairs? Yeah, those are 3 Convair 580s on the ground at once. That's actually crazy. So perhaps I need to get duplicates of those to accurately represent that for Retro FSD. And then there's a Western 737-200, and that's probably a Gate 1. And there is Gate 1 on the inside. Look at the old design and everything. That is nice. And then that is the National Weather Service Forecast Office, or at least the, I presume to be the original building, but they have a newer one now because the National Weather Service office in Sioux Falls is right on the grounds of the airport. I've driven by it many times. And then there's the business aviation hangar with what looks to be probably some twin-engined aircraft. But yeah, there's a lot of really nice photos in here, and really the biggest collection of photos I've been able to find of FSD in years past. Next, I've got an Ozark Executive Travel Dividend Program brochure. And this is like their frequent flyer program that they had, but this just talks about how to get into it and what it does for you. There's a nice route map in there. And then this is a Allegheny history brochure. A little bit more than a brochure. It's like a mini book in a way, but it's got a couple pages on the airline's history. Very nice. There's a 727 there on the back. And then the actual timetables, which I'm not going to show the contents of because that's going to take me way too much time, but I'll just go through them briefly. So here's AirTran. This is from February of 2001. And then a Sun Country timetable. This is from the fall of 2000, September to late October. Another one from May 22nd of 2000. Big Thick Delta timetable, June 1st, 1998. Northwest timetable from October to December of 97. AirTran again, this is from October of 97. Continental from, I believe, what's the date on this? So yeah, September 5th, 1996. So this is in reverse chronological order. Another Continental timetable, this is from December of 95. And then a America West timetable, October of 95. Southwest, January of 1992. Eastern from October of 1990, one of the last ones they printed. I think they may have had one in 91, I think. I don't remember for sure. Pan Am from April of 1988. Moscow, nonstop 747s from New York. So just a few years before the USSR dissolved. PSA from January of 1988. Another PSA one, this is from April of 87. Another Pan Am from October of 85 between the US and France, 15 flights, 15 nonstops a week. Horizon Air, October of 84. And then Atlantic Southeast Delta Joint timetable from November of 83. So one of the regional airlines that Delta had. Empire from September of 83. A Capital Air from May through August, so essentially the summer of 83. And then here's a Republic one, March of 83. Didn't have one of that style yet. Golden West, March of 83. And then an American Christmas edition, December of 1980. Then a Pan Am and National combined timetable. So it's got the Pan Am logo on one side and then the National logo on the other. So I assume it's like a split timetable. So one half is like Pan Am, the other half is National, and all that fun stuff. Looks really nice. So that's from their merger. Hughes Air West, this is a Bay Area quick reference schedule, so not a full timetable. I'll have to find one of those. Braniff, fall of 75. Ozark, December of 69. And a Frontier from September of 68. And then a North Central, July of 1957. So yeah, that's a crap load of timetables and a crap load of aviation memorabilia. So, if I can grab everything properly without dropping any items or losing my sanity in the process, because that's what tends to happen. And there goes an item. That was the Continental patch. So that, my friends, is the Airline Memorabilia Haul from Airliners 2025 in Atlanta. Awesome convention, as always. Loved every minute of it, and that whole trip as well is just that was just fantastic, you know, just being able to do all that fun stuff with two of the greatest friends I've ever met in this community, and then going to the convention to meet up with even more people and make more memories. Truly an amazing time. So I did get to speak a couple times at the convention as well, which I thought was awesome. First was at a World Airline Historical Society Next Gen seminar, just a bit on the aspect of friendships, since I'd written up a really good article on their captain's log, their publication online. I do have a separate video on that if you want to check that out. That goes into more detail on that, and of course the article itself. I did get to speak for a couple minutes on that, and just mainly the impact, you know, that Connor's had on my life, and then also again at the Banquet Dinner as sort of a tribute to Connor, since, you know, he's done a lot for not just myself, but for so many other people. It's really amazing just what one person, when they're such a positive influence, the impact that they can have on so many people. And I think, yeah, that's why a lot of people look up to Connor, and especially for myself. We've been friends for so long, and just all the memories we've made together from this trip, from Airliners and everything else, and what we're able to do. It's truly amazing, and shows just how much I've grown, how much I've matured in that time, because I've gone from not even dreaming of flying by myself to all these fun places to now actually doing it, and doing it with great people that know their way around these airports, and especially Connor. I mean, you can probably ask him, have you been to this particular city? And he'll be like, yeah, I've been there before. I mean, he's been around the world, for God's sake. The only continent he hasn't been to at this point that is permanently inhabited would be South America, though I suspect that might change soon, knowing his travel plans. But we'll just have to wait and see. It's always fun to know where he's going next, but I'm sure he's got a lot of fun stuff in the pipeline, and especially for all of the content on his YouTube, will certainly be fun to see how that all progresses as we move forward. But enough about the reflection. There's going to be more of that in another video, and of course it'll get its own dedicated video a little later on, so be on the lookout for that once I get all the content from this trip out. So it'll be a little while, but thanks everybody for sticking with me. I did have another schedule plan, but with me feeling not very well when I got back home, and then just trying to navigate through that and other changes, had to shake things up a bit. But I think what I have up to this point has worked out pretty well, so hopefully you guys like it, and we'll certainly keep moving and grooving with the content. There's certainly a lot of it to go about from this trip and from Airliners as well, so be on the lookout for that, and we'll certainly be sharing all of these fun memories for a very long time. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.